Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis when you first saw the topic of this year's event. Maybe you thought of butterflies emerging from their cocoons, or more likely, Gregor Samsa waking up to find himself transformed into a gigantic insect in Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. Can I see the hands, please? Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Okay, so this changed all of the things. I wasn't expecting this, because it was the only thing that I thought of when I first heard the theme. Just like the whole TEDx theme. I'm not even kidding. Never mind, so now, how many of you actually read this revolutionary book? Can I please at least see the hands? I know you did a project about this. Okay, cool. That's great, because today is all about transformation, about metamorphosis. So, what does it mean to transform? What does it feel like to wake up one day and realize that everything you thought you knew, everything you were, is now something different, unrecognizable? This is the question Kafka forces us to confront in The Metamorphosis, where his protagonist, Gregor Samsa, an ordinary man, wakes up one morning to find himself transformed into a giant insect. But this isn't just some bizarre nightmare, it's about identity, isolation, and the strange, inevitable changes we go through in life. Today, we're going to dive in how The Metamorphosis isn't just a book, it's a reflection of our book, it's a reflection of our world, of Kafka himself, and of the ways we too undergo transformations of our own. So, we all know how the book goes, right? So, I'm not going to go there and bore you with the details, but the story itself is pretty depressing, isn't it? The fact that everyone saw Gregor as a burden maybe speaking to you, being so relatable, that's what we're going to dive in today. The depressing effect of Kafka, the absurdity of life, and most importantly, the metamorphosis. Franz Kafka was a deeply troubled writer who always felt like an outsider, born in 1883 in Prague, to a German-speaking Jewish family, which is actually quite ironic if you look at the near future, but he never quite belonged. Too Jewish for some, too German for the others, and definitely too sensitive for the harsh world around him. Though he worked as a lawyer to please his family, he hated his job, calling it a bread work. His real passion was writing, which he did alone at night, full of doubt about himself. He even was feeling so insecure about it that he asked his best friend to burn all of his unpublished work after his death, a request thankfully ignored. The Metamorphosis is a story about a guy turning into a bug, reflects Kafka's own life struggles. The real tragedy isn't the physical transformation, but how Gregor's family stops caring about him once he can't work and support them anymore. This mirror how actually Kafka felt like a disappointment to his family, valued only for what he could provide, not for who he was. Though Kafka died young at only 40 years old, thinking himself a failure, his work became hugely influential. His story is capturing the feelings of not fitting in, of being trapped in a life you didn't choose, and fearing you're not good enough. The metamorphosis that matters isn't Gregor becoming an insect, it's how Kafka's honest writing about human suffering transformed him from an unknown worker to one of the greatest writers of the 20th century. His work still speaks to us because, like him, we all sometimes feel like bugs. Small, unimportant, and misunderstood. Kafka wasn't just writing about his own struggles, he was tapping into something bigger, something universal, just like I said. His work, especially Metamorphosis, connects with the ideas that, like Karl Marx or Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, as I write, explored in their own ways. But let's start with Marx, okay? He talked a lot about alienation, the idea that under capitalism, workers become more disconnected from their work, from the things they create, and even from themselves. They're treated like cogs in a machine, valued for only what they can produce. And when they can't produce anymore, they're cast aside, forgotten. This idea comes to life in The Metamorphosis. Gregor Samsa works tirelessly to support his family, but the moment he turns into an insect and can't work anymore, his family stops seeing him as a person. To them, he's just a burden, a problem to deal with. Gregor's alienation is double-layered, actually. He is alienated from his work and from his family. Kafka takes Marx's idea and pushes it even further, where Gregor isn't just alienated from his work, he's literally dehumanized, turned into something unrecognizable. It's a physical representation of what so many people feel in modern society, the sense of being reduced to what you can do, not who you are. It's a chilling reminder how easily people can be stripped off of their own humanity. And Hegel saw history as a kind of a story with a purpose that one always moves forward through conflict and change. Imagine it like this. So every idea or system naturally creates its opposite. And from their clash, something bigger and better emerges. This back and forth isn't random, it's how the actual process happens. For example, think about a master and a slave, okay? So at first the master seems to have all of the power, but over time the slave develops self-awareness and realizes their own strength, which eventually leads to change. Even when things seem chaotic or destructive, Hegel believed these struggles actually push society toward greater freedom and understanding. Hegel called this big, unfolding story the Geist, or the Absolute Spirit. Basically, the world's collective consciousness figuring itself over time. The end goal isn't just some perfect frozen state, but a world where all of these conflicts and chains finally make sense as a one big evolving truth. So, in Hegel's view, no transformation is pointless. Every struggle, every change is a step in history's journey towards freedom and self-knowledge. Kafka, though, had a much darker take. In the Metamorphosis, Gregor's transformation doesn't lead to anything good. There's no enlightenment, nothing else, but just isolation, decay, and eventually death. It's a transformation without meaning, and actually that's what makes it so terrifying. While Hegel saw transformation as a path to progress, Kafka saw it as something that just easily lead to destruction. It's a reminder that not all changes are positive, and not all struggles lead to triumph. So we hear the term Kafkas all the time to usually describe something weird, surreal, or nightmarish, but it's actually so much more than that. According to Cambridge Dictionary, it means extremely unpleasant, frightening, and confusing, and similar to situations described in novels of Franz Kafka. At its heart, Kafka is about the feeling of being trapped in a system that makes absolutely no sense, that it is oppressive, illogical, and completely out of your control. It's about the absurdity of power structures, the futility of fighting against them, and the way they can strip off your own humanity, reducing you to another cog in the machine. Think of The Trial, or The Castle, where Kafka shows characters stuck in confusing and unfair systems where they can't get any answers or change their fate. These stories are unsettling because they remind us of real situations where things don't make sense and we feel powerless. We've all had moments that felt Kafkaesque, like dealing with endless paperwork, long waits on the phone, or getting stuck in a system that doesn't seem to care about us. Kafka captured that frustration perfectly, especially in The Trial, where Joseph K. is caught in a confusing legal system with no clear way out. And it's not about just that, it's not about external struggles, but also internal struggles too. Mental health issues, for example, can feel Kafkaesque in their own way. Take eating disorders. It's often seen in the cases where a person feels like they can't control anything in their life but their eating habits. But the more you try to control it, the more you lose control. It's a vicious cycle with no room to exit. Kafka's work reminds us of that these struggles aren't new. They've been a part of the human experience for a long, long time. But what makes Kafka's vision so enduring is his honesty. He doesn't offer happy endings or cute answers. Instead, he forces us to confront the absurdity and the injustice of the world we live in. Everything I go through, everything you go through, every Kafkaesque thing I feel, every Kafkaesque thing you feel will be with us till the very end. And we all experience and feel these kind of things. So, a quick reminder, you are not alone. When Franz Kafka wrote The Metamorphosis in 1915, nobody really noticed. And when he died in 1924, he was still pretty much unknown. It's crazy to think that about a guy turning into a bug would later become one of the most important books of the 20th century. Slowly, people started realizing how much Kafka got the modern word, actually, the loneliness, the way systems crush people, and the feeling of being trapped in life you didn't choose at all. Authors and thinkers such as Albert Camus, George Orwell, Samuel Beckett, and Haruki Murakami explored this in their own ways. Gregor Samsa, guy turned into an insect, isn't just a weird character. He is all of us at some point. Immigrants see themselves in it when they're treated like outsiders. Films, TV shows, politics, games, and even personal lives evolve around this specific title. And anyone who's ever felt like another replaceable worker, yeah, I hate to break it to you, but that's actually Gregor too. Kafka's influence is everywhere now, and honestly, his stuff feels even more relevant today than ever. Social media turning us into numbers, algorithms deciding what we think and see, jobs that grind people down, Kafka saw all of them coming. But expressing, it's weirdly comforting because it makes you realize you're not alone feeling this way. And more than that, it makes you want to push back to notice when the world is trying to do another cog in the machine. You just gotta step back and say, nope, nuh-uh, that's not happening. I know it's not the best solution, but it's the best you can do in a society like this. So yeah, the metamorphosis is about a guy turning into a bug, but really it's about us and whether we'll let the world change us into something less than a human or fight to save ourselves. Kafka's Metamorphosis isn't just a story, as I said in the beginning, it's a mirror that forces us the absurdity, the isolation, but also the possibility of transformation. So, I want to leave you with this question, and everyone's going to ask the same question over and again, the other speakers. What's your own metamorphosis? How do you change, adapt, and see the world differently? Because transformation isn't just something that's only happening in the books. It's happening to all of us, every single day. But the real question is, will you embrace it?